going. Okay.
Coach, let's talk about emotions for your very first head football game, and then against Bristow, a big rivalry.
Okay. Yeah. So the first game Friday night, my first as a head coach, and being against Bristow, it was a very, very emotional game. The emotions leading up to it were, being Bristow more so than anything, and just having that rivalry, the emotions were high. But as far as, as the game kind of settled down after the first quarter, the way of commanding a game and all that, I've got great coaching staff to lean on. Coach Shoup has taught me a lot the last 5 years, just the way he's handled situations. And as far as that aspect of it, it kind of got to be more comfortable as the game went along. Emotions were high, and I think that's due just to having the rivalry against Bristow.
Talk about being down early on, first quarter,
okay,
and how that went.
Yeah, so we dug ourselves a hole early on. There's no doubt about it. We kick off, and they take the first play 65 yards to the house. And you talk to these guys all year long leading up to this. It's not necessarily how the entire game goes. It's how you handle things early on and how you get to the line the next snap. And it snowballed very quickly, and we did respond well. That's evident of the way our offense battled back, and our defense made some key stops. Later there in the end of the first quarter and second quarter, offense got rolling. But again, it's just a lot of youth on the field, and I think getting those nerves out early on meant a lot, and we were able to battle back by half.
Coach, talk just a little bit about being down that much. I mean, the kids are going to pay attention to the coaches. How are you going to respond to that adversity? Because it's a different situation. Sure. So they're going to be looking at you. So what did you say? What your coaches together as a staff, what did you say to turn that thing around?
Whenever you're responding to that adversity, and it snowballed extremely fast. I think you find out more about your character in that type of situation than you would in any other kind of situation. And as other people may not see this, but when we're lining off our kickoff return team because they just scored early on, those guys are ready to go. You can see it in their eyes, and this team has character. We will battle, we will fight, and that was an excellent test for us, playing a good team in Bristow, and the speed they have, they're a physical football team. I think it was excellent for us to see that. And for the most part, there's of course things we have to clean up and do a lot better. There's no doubt about that. But the way we battled back is the most important thing right now.
Okay, Coach, talk a little bit about you kind of got away from your original game plan, what that was, and then opening up the passing game and passing 67 times. Talk about that.
Our game plan going in, and this is universal. Nobody wants to line up and necessarily throw the ball close to 70 times. But again, when you dig yourself a hole early on, you have to kind of find what's working for you, and you got to score some points quickly. And we had receivers step up. Will Moyer stepped up and did extremely well, and he's only going to continue to get better. We protected for him for the most part well up front. And the game plan did, in a sense, go out the window a little bit just because of that hole we dug ourselves. But we may try to be a little more balanced moving forward. But again, Coach Chisholm, the offensive staff that we have, they do an excellent job finding kind of what the defense has given us. And moving forward, we'll continue to do the same.
How has Coach Chisholm kind of injected himself a little bit more, maybe this year a little bit in the coaching staff with running the offense?
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Our offense, Coach Chisholm's been doing this a while. He's been in a couple different schools and kind of running this same offense, and it fits our mentality. We're not maybe the biggest guys across the board. Doesn't take away from our physicality, and we're always going to try to go back and run the ball. But again, he has done a good job getting guys to believe, and that offensive staff has done a good job getting guys to believe, hey, whenever the defense gives us something, we're going to take advantage of it. And, I think that was on display Friday night.
Yeah. And offensive line, you mentioned that again. It seems like Moyer had a lot of,
yeah.
He had to scramble, but he had a lot of protection back there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that kind of goes on the same concept of the rest of our team. We've got some young guys stepping in there and played their first football game Friday night. as far as starting, and the protection, it was good for most of the night. You know, that when there was pressure, Will was able to handle it well, but for the most part, he felt comfortable back there, and that's why we were able to do kind of some of the things we did offensively.
Coach, your biggest takeaway from the game?
Biggest takeaway from the game is the positives that happened after the snowball effect in the first quarter. You know, we battled back. It ended up being 28-21 at halftime, and that to me is something you can work with. We've got 59 guys in this room, and hey, we'll go to battle with them any week. I tell them all the time, I tell the coaches, players this all the time, I wouldn't trade one of them for anybody, and I truly mean that. And you know, I hope that they believe that, and I think they are, and we're starting to figure that out.
Rivalry doesn't get any less. Next week we go to Perkins.
Yeah.
Talk about Perkins.
So we're going to start doing